So we start off the morning as we normally do with some scriptures that show why we are here this morning, from both the covenant and the renewed covenant, the broken covenant, otherwise known as the Old Testament, and the renewed covenant, otherwise known as the New Testament. So we're showing some scriptures that show why we're here this morning. And let's look at the first book of the Bible, Bereshith, otherwise known as Genesis. Genesis chapter 2, verses 1, 2, and 3. Bereshith, otherwise known as Genesis chapter 2, verses 1, 2, and 3. And the scripture says, "Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day, the Most High ended his work, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And the Most High blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which the Most High created and made." That was Genesis chapter 2, verses 1, 2, and 3. Now we turn to Exodus Alasham, Exodus chapter 19, verses 3 through 6. Exodus chapter 19, verses 3 through 6. And the covenant reads, "And Moses went up unto the Most High, and Yahweh called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Yaakov, and tell the children of Yashar'al, Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak to the children of Yashar'al." Exodus chapter 19, verses 3 through 6. Now we read into the covenant itself. In the covenant, Exodus chapter 20, otherwise known as Atasham, chapter 20, from verses 8 through 11. And the covenant reads, "Remember the Shabbat day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Shabbat of Yahweh thy Most High. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, all that in is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it." That was the covenant, Exodus chapter 20, read from verses 8 through 11. And we stay in the book of Exodus, and we turn to chapter 31, Exodus chapter 31, from verses 12 to verse 18. Exodus chapter 31, from verses 12 to verse 18. And the Torah reads, "And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak thou also unto the children of Yashar'al, saying, Verily my Sabbaths ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am Yahweh that doth sanctify you. Ye shall keep the Sabbath therefore, for it is holy unto you. Every one that defileth it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. 6 days may work be done. But in the seventh is the Shabbat of rest, holy to Yahweh. Whosoever doth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death. Wherefore the children of Yashar'al shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, for a perpetual covenant. It is a sign between me and the children of Yashar'al forever. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. And he gave unto Moses, when he had made an end of communing with him upon Mount Sinai, 2 tables of testimony, tables of stone, written with the finger of the Most High. Exodus chapter 31, verses 12 through 18. Now we turn to the prophets and we look at Yeshaya, otherwise known as Isaiah. Yeshaya chapter 58, verses 12, 13, and 14. Yeshaya chapter 58, verses 12, 13, and 14. And the prophecy reads, "And they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places. Thou shalt raise up the foundations of many generations, and thou shalt be called the breach of paths to dwell in. Turn away thy foot from the Shabbat, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Shabbat a delight, the holy of Yahweh honorable, and shalt honor him, not doing thine own ways, nor finding thine own pleasure, nor speaking thine own words. Then shalt thou delight thyself in Yahweh, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of Yahweh hath spoken it." That was Yeshaya chapter 58, verses 12 through 14, otherwise known as Isaiah. Now we turn to the renewed covenant. We turn to the renewed covenant, and we're looking at the epistle of the Acts of the Apostles, the epistle called Acts of the Apostles. Acts of the Apostles, chapter 13, from verses 38 to 44. Acts of the Apostles, chapter 13, from verses 38 to 44. And the epistle reads, "Be it known unto you, therefore, men and brethren, that through this man is preached unto you the forgiveness of sins. And by him all that believe are justified from all things from which you could not be justified by the law of Moses. Beware therefore, lest that come upon you, which is spoken of in the prophets. Behold, ye despisers, and wonder and perish. For I work a work in your days, a work which ye shall in no wise believe, though a man declare it unto you." And when the Jews were gone out of the synagogue, the Gentiles besought that these words might be preached to them the next Shabbat. Now, when the congregation was broken up, many of the Jews and religious proselytes followed Shaul and Barnabas, who, speaking to them, to continue in the grace of Yahweh. And the next Shabbat day came almost the whole city together to hear the word of Yahweh. Acts chapter 13, verses 38 to 44. Now we turn to the epistle that was written to the Hebrews. The epistle to the Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 6, verses 6 through, Hebrews chapter 8, Hebrews chapter 8, verses 6 through 12. The epistle written to the Hebrews, Hebrews chapter 8, verses 6 through 12. And the epistle reads, "But now hath he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. For finding fault with them, he said, Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith Yahweh. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith Yahweh. I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them the Most High, and they shall be to me a people. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahweh, for all shall know me, from the least to the greatest. For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their iniquities will I remember no more. Praise the Most High for the renewed covenant to the nation of Israel. Now we turn to the revelation of the Mashiach Yahushua. The revelation of the Mashiach Yahushua. Revelation chapter 14, verses 6, 7, and 12. Revelation chapter 14, verses 6, 7, and 12. And the prophecy reads, "And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear Yahweh and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come. And worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of waters." Verse 12. "Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yahweh and the faith of Yahweh Shah." That is Revelation chapter 14, verses 6, 7, and 12. Now we turn to the fifth trumpet of the seven trumpets found in Revelation chapter 11, verses 15 to 19. The seventh trumpet of Revelation, Revelation chapter 11, verses 15 to 19. And the prophecy reads, "And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, The kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of Yahweh and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever. And the 24 elders which sat before Yahweh on their seats fell upon their faces and worshipped Yahweh, saying, We give thee thanks, O Yahweh, Allah Shaddai, which art and wast and art to come, because thou hast taken to thee thy great power and hast reigned. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, dead, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them, destroy the earth. And the temple of Yahweh was opened in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament. And there were lightnings, and voices, and thunderings, and an earthquake, and great hail." That was the seventh trumpet of Revelation, chapter 11, verses 15 to verse 19. And last but not least, we turn back to Isaiah chapter 66. Isaiah 66, verses 22 to 24. Isaiah chapter 66, verses 22 to 24. Prophecy reads, "For as the new heavens and the new earth which I will make shall remain before me, saith Yahweh, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith Yahweh. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me. For their worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh." Thus ends the reading, the morning scriptures. Thank you, Sister Josie, for posting them. Praise the Most High Yah. Today, we're going to be looking at Daniel chapter 11, finishing Daniel 11 and going into Daniel chapter 12. Very powerful, very powerful. Of all of chapter 11 that we have read, and we went through a lot of it last night. If you were here, you remember we went through a lot of it last night. This is the most powerful part. This is the most earth-shaking part of Daniel chapter 11. So before we go into it, I want to prepare you with some other scriptures that will help understand what's going on there. And this is the thing with regard to prophecy. We have learned as we studied book of Revelation, as we studied Deuteronomy, as we studied Isaiah, we studied different prophets and different prophecies. The Bible answers itself. It answers the questions that it raises itself. The prophecies are explained by other prophets. The Most High, in his infinite wisdom and in his Alpha and Omega power, he gave prophets messages over the course of centuries. And he had the prophets answer each other. And so Revelation answers Daniel, Daniel answers Revelation, Ezekiel answers Revelation, Ezekiel answers Daniel, and vice versa. And so as you read through the scriptures, and I admonish anyone under the sound of my voice, please read the scriptures. Read through the scriptures prayerfully. Read them from cover to cover. It may take you a while. I do it once a year. It takes me a whole 12 months to read through the scriptures. It's okay. It may take you longer than that. The first time I read through the scriptures, it took me more than 2 years. I think it took me 3 years to read through the scriptures the first time I did it. But it's okay. Read through the scriptures. As you read through the scriptures with the Spirit of the Most High guiding you, he will guide you into truths that you never knew. And he will prepare you against things that the most of this world have no idea that's coming. And so today, before we begin Daniel 11, I want to start in Ezekiel chapter 38. I want to start in Ezekiel 38. And again, as we're going to read Ezekiel 38, it's 23 verses long, but I admonish people to read, if you can, from chapter 36 all the way through to chapter 39. And you'll get a context of what's going on. But I just want to kind of give you the synopsis of it, which is Ezekiel 38. Okay, so let's look at Ezekiel 38. And we're going to read all 23, but we're going to do it bit by bit as we normally do, Sister Josie, you know. So we're going to read we're going to start from chapter 38. And this is preparation for Daniel 11 that we're going to get doing today. So Ezekiel chapter 38. And by the way, before I get started, many of you know very well that very few people study the prophecies of Ezekiel. You understand that? I mean, you all are aware of that, right? Very few people study the prophecies of Ezekiel, and very few, even fewer, actually read the book from beginning to end and actually read the whole thing and compare it to other scriptures. Very few people do that, and it's a shame because people are missing out in a lot of information that prophecy brings by studying the book of Ezekiel. And so if you miss that, you're missing something. And that's the thing. That's why I say read the whole Bible. Read from Genesis to Revelation. Please don't pay heed to these people that tell you the New Testament we don't need to listen to, or even people that tell you the Old Testament we don't need to listen to. Read the whole thing. Okay, read the whole thing, and you will learn much. The Most High Spirit is on this book, brothers and sisters, and yes, and so read it prayerfully, read it with the Father's Spirit, read it as the spirit of a disciple, of somebody that's under the guidance of Father and of the Messiah, and you will learn a lot from the scriptures. He will show you things. He will prepare you against what's coming. So let's look at Ezekiel chapter 38. I'm going to begin from verse 1 and read down to verse 4. Okay, Ezekiel 38, let's start at verse 1 and go down to verse 4. And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Most High Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thy army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed in all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Let's stop right there for a minute. So he's prophesying against Gog, who is from the land of Magog, and this Gog is the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. Okay, so we need to know who these people are. That would make sense, right? We should know from the scriptures who these people are. So first, we know that Revelation also mentions Gog and Magog in terms of a last-ditch effort to attack the New Jerusalem, right? We remember that from Revelation chapter 20, and let's quickly go there. Revelation chapter 20, verse 8 and 9 and 10. Revelation 20, verse 8 and 9 and 10. Just as a matter of reference, we will find out who Gog and Magog is. Notice what it says here. And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, and compassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city. And fire came down from Yahweh out of heaven, and devoured them. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. So we see here a mention of Gog and Magog as representing those that will attempt to overthrow the kingdom of the Most High. Of course, that's an impossible task, but that's what they're going to try to do before they're destroyed. Also, let us look and find out who these people are in today's society. They exist right now. Let's take a look and see who they are, where they come from, and let's look at the book of Genesis. In the beginning, Bereshith. Let's look at Genesis chapter 10. Genesis chapter 10. Now, you remember you saw Meshach and Tubal and Magog mentioned, and Gog is a prince of Magog. So let's look at this. Genesis chapter 10 from verse 1 down to verse 5. Genesis chapter 10 from verse 1 down to verse 5. Read very carefully. Please do your own research on this as well. Notice what it says. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Yavan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tiras. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Rephath, and Togarmah. And the sons of Yavan, Elishah, Tarshish, Kittim, Dudanim. Now, verse 5, by these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families and their nations. Now, if you were to do research on these names, if you were to look them up, this is what you would find. I've done some myself, and I ask all of you, please don't just believe me. Look this up for yourself so you know for yourself what these things are and you know who they are, okay? So let's look at this. So in verse 2, it says Japheth. These are the progenitors of the Celtic family. Gog, Magog, Celtic, that's where you get your Northern Europeans, right? Celtic is generally associated with Irish, isn't it? And so you're talking about Irish and then the Medes and the people of Greece, and you're talking about the people around the Black Sea, Russian people, Madai, talking about Russian people, Madai, Tubal. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about people that are the original people of Europe. Are you following me so far? We're talking about people that are the original people of Europe, the original inhabitants that founded and established what we know today as Europe. Not only Europe, all the way across from the Atlantic, all the way across. That would be, now listen, look at it again. That's Gog and Magog, okay? So it says Gog is a chief prince. He is from the land of Magog, and he's a chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. So when you look where Meshach and Tubal, these are your European people, okay? Okay, these are your European people. So now you're dealing with people from the Atlantic, all the way across Russia, all the way into China. That's why it says about Japheth, which is where they come from. It says Japheth shall, it says when the prophecy, when when Noah was prophesying about Japheth, he said he shall enlarge the tents of Japheth. Isn't that what he said? He enlarge the tent. So they're going to have a lot of people, and they do. They shall enlarge Japheth. And so he did. So here in Ezekiel 38, we're dealing with Europeans, mostly Eastern Europeans, okay? So I want to show you why that's important as we continue to read Ezekiel 38, okay? Ezekiel 38, watch this now. Let's get back to Ezekiel 38. So we know who Gog is, Magog. Now, I'm not saying, of course, the scripture is not implying chapter 20 that only Europeans are going to be lost. But what it is showing us that they will be dominant in the last days. They will be dominant. Okay, and we're going to show that in Ezekiel 38. They're going to be dominant in the last days. And this is important as you're finishing Daniel chapter 11. Okay, let's look at this. Ezekiel chapter 38. And we're going to start from verse 5 and go down to verse 8. Okay? Ezekiel, actually, to verse 9. From Ezekiel 38, from verse 5 to verse 9. Persia, Ethiopia, Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Days thou shalt be visited. In the latter years thou shalt, listen to this carefully, thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people, against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. And thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands, and many people with thee. So let's stop right here again. He says that the people from the north are going to take over the land of Israel. Question: has that happened? Is the land of Israel inhabited from people from the north? Absolutely. So you can see that this prophecy is prophesying of what we're already seeing right now in the land of Israel. All of those people that are in the land of Israel are from Eastern Europe. They're really Gog and Magog. And that's why when they say anybody speaking against them is anti-Shemitic, it's a falsehood, because they are not Shem at all. They are from Japhet. You understand what I'm saying? There are three sons of Noah: Shem, Ham, and Japhet. And anti-Semitic means you're from Abraham. But these people are from Japhet. They're from Gog and Magog, and the Bible prophesied that they would take over that land. And that's exactly what they're doing. But notice, remember in the beginning, he prophesied, he said, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth. So in other words, he's saying, I'm gonna fix you. But at first, in the latter days, you're going to take over the land of Israel. And we see that that's already happened. Okay. And it says, thou shalt come like a storm and like a cloud over the land, and many people with thee. That means he has other nations helping them. Is that true or not? Did other nations help them take over the land? Of course. It's called the United Nations. That's why they mention Libya, Persia, Ethiopia, because they're part of the United Nations. You understand? So the United Nations, led by, of course, the United States and Britain, helped these Eastern Europeans come and take over the land of Israel. But we're not finished. Notice again, Ezekiel chapter 38. Ezekiel chapter 38. I'm going to skip down for the sake of time. Please read the whole thing when you get a chance. But I'm going to skip down for the sake of time. Notice I'm going to go down to verse 14 and read from verse 14 down to verse 20. Okay? Ezekiel chapter 38 from verse 14 down to verse 20. There's a lot I missed here. I just, for the sake of time, please read the whole thing when you get a chance. Therefore, son of man, prophesy and say unto God, thus saith the most high Yahweh, in that day when my people Israel dwelleth safely, shalt thou not know it? And thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts, thou and many people with thee, all of them riding upon horses, a great company and a mighty army. And thou shalt come up against my people Israel as a cloud to cover the land. It shall be in the latter days. And I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me. And when I shall be sanctified in thee, O Gog, before their eyes. Thus saith the most high Yahweh. Art thou he of whom I have spoken in old time by my servants, the prophets of Israel, which prophesied in those days many years that I would bring thee against them? And it shall come to pass at the same time, when Gog shall come against the land of Israel, saith the most high Yahweh, that my fury shall come up in my face. For in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath have I spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Israel, so that the fishes of the sea and the fowls of the heaven and the beasts of the field and all the creeping things that creep upon the earth and all the men that are upon the face of the earth shall shake at my presence. And the mountains shall be thrown down, and the steep places shall fall, and every wall shall fall to the ground. For I will call for a sword against him throughout all my mountains, saith the most high Yahweh. Every man's sword shall be against his brother, and I will plead against him with pestilence and with blood, and I will rain upon him and upon his bands and upon the many people that are with him, an overflowing rain and great hailstones, fire and brimstone. Thus will I magnify myself and sanctify myself, and I will be known in the eyes of many nations, and they shall know that I am Yahweh. So it continues into chapter 39. We're not going to read chapter 39 today, for like I said, for the sake of time. I wanted to give you a background as we're getting ready to go into finishing Daniel chapter 11. And so you can see that the prophecy is the Europeans will come from Eastern Europe and they will take over the land of Israel and kick his people out. I think we already see that happen, right? I think we already see that happen. That's already happened. Right? So that's how we know we're in the last days, because the Bible says this is one of the things that will happen. So now let's go to Daniel chapter 11, where we finished last night. And I want to show you what it says and how it deals with this very subject that we just talked about. Okay. Modern day Magog is Russia and Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan and Soviet Georgia. And those what you're dealing with there. That's what you're dealing with. That's modern Magog, modern day Magog. Same territory. Eastern Europe, basically. Eastern Europe. Okay, so now Daniel chapter 11. Last night we talked about how the Roman Church would establish an institution called the Catholic Church, and they would give money and power into this institution, and we can see that all its little whores, and as a matter of fact, the Revelation shows us in Revelation chapter 17 with regard to this, Revelation 17, because a woman represents a church, right? Woman represents a church, and we saw in Daniel chapter 11 that it said in verse 38, sister, could you post Daniel 11:38, please? Daniel 11:38, and actually, yeah, 11:38. Which we read last night. The Bible says, but in his estate shall he honor the God of forces, a God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor. Look, it said, with gold and silver and precious stones and pleasant things. Let's compare that to Revelation chapter 17. Revelation chapter 17. Revelation 17, going to read from verse 3 down to verse 5. Revelation chapter 17 from verse 3 to verse 5. Notice what the scripture said. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. So we're seeing here the Roman church is the whore, and she has many harlots. She's the mother of harlots. She has other, she's the greatest of all harlots, and she has other harlots with her. They're called Christian churches. So Babylon is made up of all of these Christian churches led by the Roman Catholic Church. All of them after the order and in the image of, and I'm using that word image purposely if you're looking at Revelation chapter 13, in the image of Rome. Okay, and so now this is what they're doing, and they're going to divide the land for gain. We can see that already happening as well. And let's look at back to Daniel chapter 11. Again, this is what is exciting and kind of scary at the same time. We're looking at a time in prophecy where we live. This is where we live. These things are happening right now. And what I'm about to share with you is going to be amazing, because you're getting ready to see something here. Notice again, Daniel chapter 11. We started at verse 38. I would like to again start again at verse 38. I know it's repetitive, but I can't stress this enough. From verse 38, we're going to go down to verse 40. Daniel chapter 11 from verse 38 down to verse 40. But in his estate shall he honor the God of forces. A God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver and precious stones and pleasant things. Thus shall he do in the most strongholds with a strange God, whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory. And he shall cause them to rule over many, and shall divide the land for gain. And at the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots and with horsemen and with many ships. And he shall enter into the countries and shall overflow and pass over. Okay, there you go. So the Ottoman Empire pushed against Rome. Rome pushed back, not just with it doesn't have its own army, it pushes back with the army of the French, with the army of the English, with the army of the Germans, with the army of the United States. It pushes back with the army of other nations, and it pushes Islam back into its place, right? And here we are in these days in which we live, and we have the army of the United States, Britain, and all the nations. What are they fighting against? Fighting against so-called radical Islam. Really what they're doing is they're exacting Rome's vengeance on Islam. That's what they're doing. They're exacting Rome's vengeance so that you get to the point now where the president-elect is saying, we don't even want Muslims coming into the country. We got to have a special entrance for y'all because you're Muslim. See, they're making them into the boogeyman. Beware, brothers and sisters. The next ones being made into the boogeyman is you. And I'm next. Okay, we're the next ones. So the boogeyman right now is, according to prophecy, it is the Islamic people. Now, let's look at verse 41. Verse 41 is very interesting. Let's look at verse 41. Daniel chapter 11 and verse 41. Notice what it says. He shall enter also into the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown, but these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom and Moab and chief of the children of Ammon. Let's stop right here. Brothers and sisters, whenever the covenant, or otherwise known as the Old Testament, is talking about the glorious land, tell me, brothers and sisters, you know, what land are they talking about? When they talk about the glorious land, that's right, they're talking about the land of Israel. That's what they're talking about. So he said, he shall also enter into Israel. Well, didn't we just read that in Ezekiel chapter 38? That the king of the north, led by Rome, shall enter into the land of Israel and kick the true Israelites out? That's exactly what we're reading here. But notice what it says here. These shall escape out of his hand, even Edom and Moab and chief of the children of Ammon. Let's stop right here. Now, I need you to understand, look this up when you get a chance. In the Hebrew, the word escape, okay, from verse 41, the word escape in the Hebrew, it means to be delivered. So it's saying here that there's going to be some people that are delivered, that are in that land, that are delivered of the Northern Europeans and the Pope as they come to take over the land. And it lists Edom, Moab, and Ammon. Now, the land, let's go one by one. Who is Edom? Let's start with that. Who does the Bible tell us is Edom? Who is Edom according to the scriptures? Where does Edom come from? Who is he? And where does he come from? That's right, Sister CJ got it. Edom is Esau. Well, talk to us some more. Who is Esau? Where does he come from? Who is his mother and his father? And where is he from? Who is Esau? That's right, Edom comes from Esau. Who is he? Where does he come from? That's right. Him and Jacob are twin brothers, right? They are fraternal twins. They are twin brothers, and their father is Isaac. Isaac's father is Abraham. That would make Esau a Semite. 1, 2, 3. That would make Esau a Semite. Yes, he is a Semite, but he is not part of the children of Israel, though he is a Semite. Now, today, Esau's land, the land that was given to him is called Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, okay? That's Esau's land, Saudi Arabia. Now, let me ask you all another question. Esau's land is Saudi Arabia, and he's a Semite. Today that are not the children of Israel, but are Semites. What are they called? There's a modern term for people from the Middle East who are Semites, who are Semitic people, but they are not the children of Israel. What are they called today? You know them. That's right. They are called Arabs. Everybody understand? If you were to ask any Arab, are you a Semite? They would say, yes, I'm a Semite. I'm Arab. They'll tell you because the Arabs are from people here, well, one of them is Esau. So you have Arabs, and he's saying they're going to be delivered. Well, we're going to talk about that in a minute. But now, so now we know who Edom is. Edom is Esau, and today it is Saudi Arabia. And we know that in Saudi Arabia, there's a very important thing that Arabs do in Saudi Arabia. There's a very important physical landmark in Saudi Arabia. What is it? You guys know what it is? What is in Saudi Arabia that's a very important, it is Mecca, exactly, very good. So all Arab and all Muslims go to the rock that's called Mecca and they bow to it in Saudi Arabia. That's Esau's land right there. Okay, so now let's look at the next one, 41. And let's look at Moab. Who is Moab? Who is his father? Where does he come from? Who is Moab? Who is his father? Where does he come from? Who is he? That's right. Moab is the son of Lot by his daughter. Right? Moab is the son of Lot by his daughter. Lot is the son of Abraham's brother. That would make Lot also an Arab. Testing 1, 2, 3. Are you following me? So Moab is also an Arab. His land today is part of the nation of Jordan. If you were to look up where Moab's land originally was and what's there now, it is the nation of Jordan. Okay. Now we go to Ammon. Ammon. And where did he come from? His parents. Who is Ammon? We know what Edom is. We know what Moab is. Who is Ammon? That's the third one. He said Edom, Moab, and chief of the children of Ammon. Who is Ammon? Where does he come from? And who is his family? Y'all doing good so far. I gotta tell you, you're doing good. Most people don't know this stuff. So praise the Most High that y'all have studied it. So who is Ammon then? Who is Ammon? All right, y'all having trouble with Ammon. Okay, Ammon is also Lot's son. Ammon is Lot's son. Okay, Ammon is Lot's son. Remember, Lot impregnated 2 of his daughters. He impregnated one that had Moab, and he impregnated the other one that had Ammon. Okay, so both of these tribes come from Lot. So they're both Semitic tribes. They're both Arabs. And also Ammon's land was right next to Moab's land, which is still today the country of Jordan. So the country of Jordan has the lands that used to be Moab and Ammon. The country of Saudi Arabia has the land that used to be Edom and Teman. Everybody understand that so far? So all of these people are Arabs. Everybody with me so far? Okay, all right. Now, tell me now, what religion do Moab, Edom, and Ammon practice? What religion do they practice? Are they practicing the God of the Most High Yah? Yo, they're practicing Edom. Practicing Islam. That's right. They're Muslims. So what is this saying? That they're going to be some Muslims that are delivered from Rome. They're going to be some Muslims that are going to be converted by the Most High Yah as these people come from the north and try to take over the land in their affliction. There are Islamic people that are going to come to the truth and be delivered. Are you seeing that? Testing 1, 2, 3. That's Daniel 11:41. Okay, continue. Let's continue. So wait. Okay. Let's go Daniel 11:41 and 42 and 43. Okay, actually, yeah, Daniel 11:41, 42, and 43. Okay, also enter into the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown, but these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom and Moab and chief of the children of Ammon. And he shall stretch forth his hand also upon the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape, but he shall have power over the treasures of gold and of silver, and over all the precious things of Egypt, and the Libyans and the Ethiopians shall be at his steps. So what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? Does not the powers of Europe, the white males, control gold and silver? Does not the Vatican have vaults filled with gold and silver, while Fort Knox, the United States, is empty? Does not the people control the money system with their Federal Reserve banks and their central banks? Do not they control that? Do not they control all of the natural resources in every rich place of Africa? Don't they control that? Yes, they do. One more thing with regard to Edom, Moab, and Ammon, I would like to show you. Let's look at Jeremiah, the prophet Jeremiah. I'm gonna show you this one piece at a time. The prophet Jeremiah, I'm going to read chapter 48 of the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 48, talking about Moab and Edom and Ammon. I want you to notice this prophecy, which goes along with what we're reading right here. This is Jeremiah chapter 48, from verse 42, 47. Okay, Jeremiah chapter 48, from verse 42 down to verse 47. Notice what the scripture says with regard to Moab. Okay, with regard to Moab, we're going to take these one at a time. Okay, notice what it says. And Moab shall be destroyed from being a people, because he hath magnified himself against the Most High, against Yahweh. Fear and the pit and the snare shall be upon thee, O inhabitant of Moab, saith Yahweh. He that fleeth from the fear shall fall into the pit, and he that getteth up out of the pit shall be taken in the snare. For I will bring upon it, even upon Moab, the year of their visitation, saith Yahweh. They that fled stood under the shadow of Heshbon because of the force. But a fire shall come forth out of Heshbon, and a flame from the midst of Sihon, and shall devour the corner of Moab, and the crown of the head of the tumultuous ones. Woe be unto thee, O Moab! The people of Chemosh perisheth, for thy sons are taken captives, and thy daughters captives. Notice verse 47. Yet will I bring again the captivity of Moab in the latter days, saith Yahweh. Thus far is the judgment of Moab. So he promises in the latter days he's going to bring their captivity back. Though he's going to punish them severely, and he's going to bring their captivity back. Isn't that what's happening in the Middle East right now? Okay, so notice again, chapter 49 of Jeremiah, chapter 49 of Jeremiah. And let's read from verse 1 down to verse 6 of chapter 49 of Jeremiah. From verse 1 to verse 6, notice what it says, chapter 49. We're talking about Edom, Moab, and Ammon. Notice again, concerning the Ammonites, hath Israel no sons? Hath he no heir? Why then doth their king inherit Gad, and his people dwell in his cities? Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will cause an alarm of war to be heard in Rabbah of the Ammonites, and it shall be desolate, a desolate heap, and her daughters shall be burned with fire. Then shall Israel be heir unto them that were his heirs, saith Yahweh. How, O Heshbon? Cry, ye daughters of Rabbah, gird you with sackcloth, lament and run to and fro by the hedges. For their king shall go into captivity, and his priests and his princes together. Glory is thou in the valleys, thy flowing valley, O backsliding daughter, that trusted in her treasures, saying, who shall come unto me? Behold, I will bring a fear upon thee, saith the Most High Yahweh of hosts, from all those that be about thee. And ye shall be driven out every man right forth, and none shall gather him up that wandereth. Notice verse 6. And afterward I will bring again the captivity of the children of Ammon. Punishment followed by redemption to all of these people. Punishment followed by redemption. Again, notice the same chapter of Jeremiah 48, verse 10 and 11, talking about Edom. Jeremiah chapter 48, verse 10 and 11. bare, I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places. He shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. Leave thy fatherless children. I will preserve them alive, and let thy widows trust in me. You see? So he's telling Esau also, there's a promise. Let his widows trust in the Most High. That's what's going to happen, brothers and sisters. One more scripture with regard to them. One more scripture, because we're going to give 2 or 3 witnesses so we know that we're saying the truth. Amos. See all these people they call minor prophets? They ain't minor. They got some powerful stuff in there. Okay? Amos chapter 9 from verse 8 down to verse 12. Amos chapter 9 from verse 8 down to verse 12. Notice what it says. Behold, the eyes of the Most High Yahweh are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, saith Yahweh. For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in a sieve, yet not the least grain fall, yet shall not the least grain, fall upon the earth. All the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say the evil shall not overtake us, nor prevent us. In that day, the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and will build it as in the days of old. And they may possess, watch this, that they may possess the remnant of Edom, and of all the heathen which are called by my name, saith Yahweh, that doeth this. So there's going to be some heathen, some Arabs, some Semites that are going to be called by the Most High's name. You follow me? So there's going to be redemption given to people that are now Islamic, that are now Arab. They're going to return to the Most High. They're going to return to the Most High. And how? I'm going to show you right now from Daniel chapter 11. Notice again, Daniel chapter 11. Daniel chapter 11. Watch very carefully these last 2 verses of Daniel 11. This is powerful, okay? Daniel chapter 11, verse 44 and 45. Daniel chapter 11, verse 44 and 45. Watch this. But tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him. That is the king of the north, Rome. Therefore he shall go forth with great fury to destroy and utterly make away many. And he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas in the glorious holy mountain. Yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him. Okay, so he's telling us that Rome is going to plant himself in the glorious holy mountain. Where is that? Where is Rome going to set up himself? Where is he going to set up himself? He's already doing it. Where is he going to set up himself? He's going to set up himself where? Not the New Jerusalem, in Jerusalem. That's right. Not the New Jerusalem, in Jerusalem. That's right. He's going to set himself up there. They're going to try to rebuild the temple, and they're going to try to redo this whole thing and claim that these Europeans belong there and they're rebuilding their temple. It's all a fake. Notice what it says, though. Tidings or news out of the east and out of the north. And let me give you some hints now. As you study prophecy, okay, as you study prophecy, whenever you hear about things coming out of the east and out of the north, you're dealing with the Most High. You're dealing with a message from the Most High. Okay, you can look that up and study that when you get a chance. But whenever you see things coming out of the east and out of the north, you're dealing with the Most High. The Bible says that his throne is in the sides of the north, right? And out of the east, the Messiah shall appear out of the east. He said, as the sun riseth in the east and shineth even to the west, even so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. So the east and the north are directions that represent him. You understand what I'm saying? So I want to show you something. What tidings or what news or what message will he hear about that's going to greatly trouble him and cause him to try to go forth with fury to destroy people? What's going to happen? This is found in the book of Revelation. It is Revelation chapter 18, in fact. Revelation chapter 18. And this message is given by a specific group of people. Who is it? Who is going to give this message? This message is going to cause Rome and all the people following Rome to be upset and angry and want to go forth and destroy. That's right. We're talking about the 144,000. That's exactly right. And notice the message. Revelation chapter 18. Revelation 18 from verse 1 down to Revelation 18 from verse 1 down to verse 5. Revelation chapter 18 is the message of the 144,000 that they're going to give in the power of the Most High Spirit. That's going to cause Rome and those following to be greatly upset and want to go forth and destroy them. Notice again, and after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacy. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh hath remembered her iniquities. So, brothers and sisters, the message of warning from the 144,000 is going to cause a great disturbance on the earth. It's going to cause the powers of Rome and the powers with them to want to destroy, to want to kill the people giving the message. And that's where Revelation 13 comes in, when it says, and he had power to give life to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Okay, should be killed. So, brothers and sisters, we're seeing that the loud cry message of Revelation 18, the warning that precedes the plagues, that's what it is. Revelation 18, notice it said, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. The message of Revelation 18 is a message that comes right before the pouring out of the plagues. Okay, it's a message of warning that comes right before the outpouring of the Most High's plagues. Okay, you got me? Is everybody following that so far? Testing 1, 2, 3. Everybody there? Now wait a minute. Notice what's going to happen at that time, right after that message is given, as the Pope is setting up and they're building the new temple in Jerusalem. It's coming right now, brothers. All this stuff is getting ready to happen. And then as they're setting up their game right there in Jerusalem and acting like these Europeans are the Israelites, watch what happens. Revelation chapter 12 and verse 1. Revelation chapter 12 and verse 1. Notice what it says. Revelation chapter 12 and verse 1. Notice what it says. And at that time shall Michael stand up, which standeth for the children of thy people. Shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time shall be delivered. There's the word delivered again. Everyone that shall be found written in the book. The word delivered is the same word as escape from what we read there in verse 41. So they're delivered. Okay, they're delivered, and they're delivered because at that time, once the 144,000 are sealed, once they give their final warning message and it's either accepted or rejected, then the Most High will begin to send the plagues. He will begin to send the plagues. And the Bible, and this, brothers and sisters, this is that the Bible talks about the time of Jacob's trouble. This is the time of Jacob's trouble. Notice what it says. It says, they shall be delivered. They shall be delivered from this trouble. They shall be delivered. Why? Because as the death decree goes forth, as the death decree goes forth to kill them, as the death decree goes forth, they will be delivered. That's when the Messiah will appear. Okay, as the death decree goes forth, first there will be all kinds of chaos. because the plagues will begin to fall. After the 144,000 give their message, the plagues will begin to fall. Crazy. People are going to be going crazy, and they're going to be angry. The Spirit of the Most High will have withdrawn from them. They will want to kill the messengers. And that's going to be the time. We're going to be hunted to be killed. And brothers and sisters, we're going to have to trust the Most High to deliver us. We have to trust the Most High to deliver us. Okay? Yes, I know. I mean, Kirk is right. I'm giving a lot of information. I'm giving a lot of information. I'm not going to even front. I'm giving a lot of information. There's no question. It is difficult to keep up with. And that's why I'm going to break it. Kirk is right. Break it very shortly. Okay? I want to just go over one more thing. Jeremiah 30. Jeremiah chapter 30. Jeremiah chapter 30. Notice what it says. Jeremiah 30. Let's see. I'm going to start at verse 3 to verse 10. I'm sorry, verse 9. Jeremiah 30 from verse 3 down to verse 9. Okay, notice what it says. For lo, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, saith Yahweh. And I will cause them to return to the land that I gave their fathers, and they shall possess it. And these are the words that Yahweh spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. For thus saith Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear and not of peace. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces turn into paleness. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. But they shall serve Yahweh, their most high, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. Are you following me? So brothers and sisters, of trouble. After the 144,000 give that final message, the powers that be will want to kill them. Want to kill them, Michael will stand up. See, they call Michael the name they used before he was born of Mary. So so when Daniel is given this, Messiah hadn't been born of Mary. That's why I call him Michael. After he's born of Mary, he is Messiah Yahushua. Okay. So here he shall stand up, and he's going to leave his place in the most holy, and he's going to deliver his people. That's what's going to happen. It's coming very shortly, brothers and sisters. I'm going to stop it here because I think Brother Kurt is right. There's a lot of information that I gave today. I'm going to have to go back from probably from verse 44 and start from there the next time. Let's have a word of prayer. Let's have a word of prayer.